Hey guys, Quillan here from AR Island Airsoft. I'm just going to bring you another review today. What I've got in my hands is the Thunderbee grenade. In the video I'm just going to give you a couple of tips on how to make them go off because there's been many fails with the Thunderbee grenade, so I'm just going to give you a couple of tips and tricks. I'm just going to show you how it's assembled. The Thunderbee itself is actually quite realistic and is very sturdy and operates one like the real one as well. You just take out the pin and you flick the spoon. Okay, I'm just going to show you what you actually receive in the package. First of all, you receive 2 pins. This is great because sometimes the metal can be worn down and bent a little, so it's always good to have a spare one. You're going to have the actual cap for placing the CO2 capsule in. 2 pineapple shells. I wrapped it in red tape, I'll explain that later. And 1 sound flash. The sound flash being 150 decibels and the Thunderbee firing off at 120 decibels. Now you're going to find the threads for actually screwing on this cap. It goes into the firing mechanism. 2 plastic washers. These can break and they do give you a spare one, but my one broke, so I only have one left. Now the firing pin. This is where it hits the actual CO2 cartridge to make it leak. And the firing mechanism itself. The first step you're going to need to do to assemble the Thunderbee, just take your plastic washer and slide it on here. Once you've got that step done, take the firing mechanism and just plop it in there. Make sure it's nice and secure. Now take this cap and just slide it on. The threads might be quite hard to find, so you're going to have to fiddle around with it a little. Now just take the actual capsule and screw it on clockwise. Once you've got that done, simply take the end cap off and just put your CO2 cartridge in. This is an empty one. Pull the striker back and insert the pin to the hole right there. Once the pin is in there right and secure, pull back on the spoon very tightly and carefully remove the pin and put it into the hole there. Now that you've got the hammer set, just screw on the sound flash or pineapple shell. Now all you have to do is pull the pin and just flick the spoon. Okay, to be honest with you, the Thunderbee grenade can be very unreliable at times, so I'm just going to give you very good tips and tricks that Oddie's Airsoft actually thought of, so I'm going to put a link down to his channel because I don't want me to take all the credit, so I'm just gonna give you a couple of tips and tricks to make these Thunderbees actually have a better chance of going off. The first step is just to grab a bit of Vaseline and actually take a fingerful of it and wipe it all across the threads of the pineapple shell itself. This will prevent any air leakage and will have a better chance of the Thunderbee going off. Second of all, you might want to take a knife and actually just scorch the bottom half of the pineapple shell itself. This will make the pineapple shell softer and it will take less time for the Thunderbee to go off. This also sometimes, see a seam line right here, sometimes the pineapple shell can split all the way up, and in my case it actually damaged the top half of my firing mechanism. So just remember to cut seam lines down at the bottom half, cut quite a few of them. Another great tip is to actually just take your end cap, find a 2-cent coin or some penny of some sort that fits in well, and just drop it in. If you don't have a 2-cent coin, you may want to use a piece of cardboard. This is to actually push the CO2 just up that little bit more, because sometimes a striker head doesn't really pierce the whole way through, so this will prevent that. Also, another good tip is to just take some BBs, doesn't matter, you can use .12s, .20s, anything, and just pour about 1/3 of the way up. Don't go all the way to the top because that might blow off in your hand. So go to maybe about here, somewhere around here, and the gas has less space to expand, so obviously it's going to go off quicker. Another tip is also where the actual mechanism itself hits the CO2. This can become quite blunt after a good amount of uses, so you might want to just get a file and just sharpen it up a little bit. The reason I coloured the Thunderbee itself red and wrapped red tape around it is just for identification, because sometimes the Thunderbee shell can actually fly off into the distance, and it's easy to find with the actual mechanism itself in it. So if you wrap a bit of red tape, it'll be easier to find rather than just having something of this colour that will blend into the foliage. Now here's something that a lot of people might not know, but in the winter these actually won't perform as well, because in the winter when it's cooler the gas contracts, and in the summer when it's warmer the gas obviously expands. So if there's less time, if the gas is cooling and contracting, obviously there's going to be more time for it to go off, and it may find a leak quicker. So just take that into account, that these Thunderbee grenades will perform a little bit better in the summer and warmer times. When actually getting ready to throw the Thunderbee grenade itself, it's always a good tip to hold it at the very bottom of the spoon. This is because some people, when they hold it at the top of the spoon, it will only, and they let go, the striker head may actually deflect off the metal spoon. So it's always a good idea to hold it at the very tip, and it will give you better results. I would definitely buy the Thunderbee grenade if you are on a bit of a budget and you just can't afford the Tornado Impact grenade. It is very, very good for CQB scenarios, and I would definitely recommend it for CQB, but Woodland, it's not as useful, but it could come in handy sometimes. So I'd definitely buy the product because it is very cheap. It's reliable if you use the tips and tricks I gave you, and overall it's just a cool looking product. Okay guys, that's the end of the Thunderbee grenade review. If you used all the tips and tricks I gave you, the Thunderbee should go off. But before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to Irish Ranger Airsoft. He's a fellow Irish airsofter, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. His channel will be down below, and I wanted to thank Halo Pro 1995 for giving us a shout out. I really appreciate it. Remember to just give me some feedback and comment on the video, like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. That's Quaylon signing out from IA Ireland Airsoft.